Hello, I'm Naomi Craig from naomicraig.com. I'm here to bring you a 5-minute book review about Lioness, Mahlah's Journey by Barbara M. Britton. This is biblical fiction. It is about the daughters of Zelophehad, and that is right as the Israelites are making it over into Canaan and the Promised Land. It's their very, very not well known story. So what happens is there's Zelophehad has only daughters in a patriarchal society, and he dies. And so then what is to happen to the girls and their inheritance, because he doesn't have any sons to pass on the inheritance? And back then, it was a law that you had to be a son to inherit land. So it's a very little known thing. It's in Numbers. It's a fun story. It's brave. These girls are pretty amazing. So here is the description on the back. While Israelites struggle to daughters of Zelophehad. While the Israelites struggle to occupy the promised land of God, Mahlah bat Zelophehad is orphaned and left to care for her 4 sisters. But daughters of the dead are unable to inherit land, and it will take a miracle for Mahlah to obtain the means to care for her sisters and uphold the vow she made to her dying mother. Mahlah must seek Moses, the leader of her people, and request something extraordinary: the right for a daughter to inherit her deceased father's land, a right that will upset the ox cart of male inheritance and thrust her into the role of a rebel. But God is the protector of the orphan, and the widow and 5 orphaned daughters need his help. With God, anything is possible, even changing man's tradition. This is the first in a series of 3. There's Zelophehad. You try saying that word 5 times. And so it's a pretty thin book. And this is the second book I've read from Barbara M. Britton, and I have really enjoyed her style and how she tells the story. I thought this was done really well, and bringing light to some little knowns in the Bible, which is always really neat for me to see. So here is my 5-point review of Lioness, Mahlah's Journey, and to show how we can make a brief review and help out authors and help out readers too, because someone who likes what you like will be like, oh yeah, hey, that looks like a good book, so reviews help. They really do. So here is my 5 points from Barbara M. Britton's Lioness. Number 1, Mahlah is the firstborn daughter of Zelophehad with the promise to care for her sisters. Number 2, an unprecedented ask for inheritance reserved for sons. Number 3, Balaam makes his appearance, and that's Balaam and the talking donkey mentioned in Numbers as well. And number 4, there are missing goats, sisters in peril, obstinate tribal leaders. Mahlah faces all obstacles with courage and strength from the Lord, and she was very reliant on the Lord. And number 5, I finish off with a quote, and that is found on page 181, and I have no indication of what I was going to pick, so I'm going to skim this real quick and see what we can find here. This is from Moses. Remember, daughter of Zelophehad, the Lord watches over the orphan and the weak, You should not fuel yourself with concern. He scanned the distant crags from where he had ventured. A righteous woman armed with the truth is a frightful opponent. Fear not as you go forth with God. He turned and held her gaze. Remember, there are always faithful men and women fighting the Lord's battles. So it was neat to see Balaam in there as well, because I actually have just written, that's my download, the introductory to Naomi's writing. So it was neat to see a new perspective on Balaam. Sometimes we get our heroes mixed up. In Sunday school, we learn about Balaam and the talking donkey, but he was actually a pagan seer. So, maybe we should learn more about Zelophehad's girls, as more of a heroic story to, as more of an inspiring, here's who you should base your life after. It's because they were brave and they were bold, and in a society this would be frowned upon for them to go to the elders and request something this big. So it's super short, but it actually didn't feel like it was that short. I think the way that Barbara writes is not, it tells the story, it has enough detail, but it doesn't feel like, oh, it's such a short story. Like, I don't know if you have that where you're reading and you're like, oh yeah, this has definitely got a short story feel, but they feel like full-length books. So I enjoyed that, and I got this as a gift, and I like finding out biblical fiction. This is why I write it too, is because you can imagine the culture around the stories that most people would breeze over, like Mahlah and her sisters. So like I said, this is book 1 out of 3. There's also Heavenly Lights and Claiming Canaan that go along with, that complete out the daughters of Zelophehad. And so I'll definitely be on the lookout to read those as well. So thanks for tuning in. If you are interested in a free download, you can find my story of Balaam and his talking donkey at naomicraig.com. You can also learn information about my upcoming novel, Rahab's Choice. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, I hope that you have a good book to read, and don't forget to leave a review. Thanks for tuning in.